wondering what to pin on Pinterest right now when this world kind of seems upside down. And you're probably asking the question, how can you adapt your content to provide what people want and what they really need right now? And is there anything that I should avoid on Pinterest right now? So we're going to talk about all these questions. This is going to be a packed show for today. We appreciate all you guys joining. We've got a special segment we're going to put in the middle of the show that you guys really love, is being able to have Julie, one of our designers, come on and kind of do some pins for you, which is always fun. So stick around for that. But we are happy to have you guys here as we're going along. Make sure you add your comments and questions, and we will try to pull those up today during the show and answer them to the best of our ability. Thank you so much for watching. And Elisa, I'm so glad to be here.
Jeff.
Glad to see you. You brighten my day as always.
Oh, I thank you. It's actually just the sunshine in here, I think.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been a couple of decades maybe since we've done this.
And all the days kind of like I don't, what day is it? I mean, it just feels like there wasn't a weekend, and now, you know, I mean, it's Thursday. The only reason I know this is because we do the show on Thursday, but it just is it's so bizarre feeling.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about this before the show. Some of you are like, the biggest problem it's not toilet paper, but it is probably your kids at home. I mean, really.
Yes.
You know,
please tell us what your situation is right now. Where are you watching from? Who's around you? What's driving you crazy? Tell us what's going on. We want to hear what you're dealing with, because I got to tell you, I was without internet for about 14 hours starting yesterday afternoon.
Don't even say
that. Oh, I know, because all along I've been thinking, well, at least we have the internet. We can connect with each other. So super important right now. But oh my goodness, just about lost it. It's back now. So glad I can be here with you guys. So glad you guys are here. There's a lot to talk about, like Jeff said.
Yeah.
But tell us how you're doing. We want to get a feel for how everybody's doing out there.
Let us know. I'm trying to get comments going. We'll hope and pray that this doesn't happen, but there's a lot of people who are using the internet right now who haven't before, and I've had some shows go a little wonky, so we want to kind of just stick with us. If anything happens, we will fight through it for you. But let us know where you're from, what's going on. I'm seeing right now, Casey says, hello, Jeff and Elisa, thanks for going live. Hedge says, welcome to the world of working from home. That is correct.
Ooh,
yes.
Yes.
Very,
working from home is one thing. Working from home under these circumstances is a whole other ball game.
Right.
So if you're struggling a little bit, I mean, be patient with yourself. I see a lot of posts that are like, be grateful that you have a home to be quarantined in. You know what? Absolutely. However, it's okay to feel like you're being a little thrown for a loop, because we all are. So like, don't beat yourself up too much.
Right. Exactly.
So we've all been watching the news. We know what's going on. We had a great Facebook Live with Danny on Tuesday, Danny Maloney of Tailwind, where he talked about like what he sees going on, the repercussions for small business, some great resources for households who might be in crisis. And that you can find on our Facebook page from a video 2 days ago. So just a very small update to that. And again, we're not financial professionals, but there is a little good news with some legislation, at least for those in the U.S., where it looks like a lot of us are about to get some cash. So I'm going to post that there. It's an article from Forbes, a lot of questions answered there about what we might expect and when. But the good news is it looks like it's covering a lot of us, whether you're full-time employed, self-employed, whatever, it doesn't matter. So that's great news. So I shared that in the comments there. But what we're all here for is Pinterest.
Right.
So I feel like Pinterest is a tiny bit removed from the minefield of social right now. So social, I feel like you have to be so careful about what you say and how you say it to find that balance between being helpful, still keeping your business alive, but not coming off as opportunist or being insensitive. So I'm seeing some hits and misses. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about how every single email list they've ever been on is now emailing them about how much they're washing their hands. And it just seems like a huge miss. Whereas on Pinterest, we're not being social, right? It's not about us and what we're doing. It's about serving people. So I feel like on the whole, Pinterest is a little insulated from that and has an advantage. However, it is not by any means untouched by what's going on in the world. So, for instance, last weekend, Pinterest said that they saw the highest rates of user engagement in the history of the platform across Italy, France, Spain, and Germany, countries that are really hard hit. And that just, it kind of makes sense, don't you think, Jeff? Like, Pinterest is our happy place.
Yeah, so I'm trying to bring up some comments because there's some glitches going on right now, but I'm seeing you guys, so keep it up. One of the things Casey says, I didn't have any Etsy orders to fill this morning, so I spent some time reading in a hammock in the backyard. She's in Oklahoma where it is sunny and the high will be 94 today. So that is good that we have some time. Hopefully you're able to walk around outside and do some stuff. Kismet says they're from Vancouver, Washington. As a small business, they're adjusting my sales. That's a great way to put it. Adjusting your sales. I like the way you put that, Kismet. So
sales with an I. Got it.
With sailing. Sorry, you can't see the comment, but that's what's going on.
I can't see it.
So
Casey, I hope you have some nice cold lemonade out there with some ice cubes. I like picturing that. It's very peaceful.
Yes. So we've got some great questions. Casey says this. She goes, yes, Elisa, this is what I love about Pinterest, serving my ideal customers. And that is a way to look at it. Great way to look at that, Casey. And Jen is flabbergasted by the history of the platform, those numbers you said that they were having that uptick. I know. That's pretty amazing.
I know. It's amazing. And then another quote from Pinterest said that they saw an all-time high around the world with more searches and saves than any other weekend in the history of Pinterest. So I think it's important to talk about specifically what people are searching for right now as kind of a way to put into context of where are the opportunities. So, and again, when we talk about opportunities, we're not talking about being opportunistic. These are things that people actually want, that they're looking for, that they really need right now. So if we can figure out how to serve that need, it's all good for everybody involved, which is the ideal situation.
Yeah, so we got comments working now again, folks.
Great, okay,
it's the internet. So Casey says, love this attitude. And Mama Joe, thank you for joining us again. You're on our last show from YouTube, watching on our YouTube channel. She says, I'm also having more time. So that's a great way to look at it. So, and there's some great questions that you guys are coming, and when we get into those sections, we'll make sure to ask those or some really specific questions we're getting about Pinterest right now. But here's a question I think that makes sense that I think we should bring up, and it's from Samantha. She goes, is it okay to have a board with all the lockdown posts, or should I be spread out to normal boards?
So I'm assuming that is a post about what to do during lockdown. Right. Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, it's probably content about what's going down with the lockdown and maybe some specific articles. That's what I see. And I know you're going to talk about that a little bit later, but I thought this may be a good one to kick us off on what to pin right now.
Well, I think if you're creating posts about what to do when you're stuck at home, it probably makes a lot of sense for you to create a board specific to that, like home activities, kids activities to do at home, and then share them out to any other relevant boards as well. But don't hesitate to create a special board for that, because SEO wise, that's a good play, right? To keep that consistency between pin, content, and board. So I would do that. This kind of skips ahead to what not to post on Pinterest right now, though. So let's talk about that. Pinterest came out, they rushed their product release for what they're calling today. So if you go onto your Pinterest app, it's on iPhone and Android. There is a special new feature that's going to kind of give you what's trending today, but also if you search anything like COVID-19 or coronavirus or even quarantine, what you're going to get is not a bunch of people's pins. You're going to get a resource page that Pinterest has compiled. So if you're going to be sharing content about that, no one's going to see it, because those searches are being redirected to reputable sources of information that Pinterest is curating specifically for that. So this is an instance where you could get in trouble with community guidelines if you're not being really careful. So what I would do if you're thinking, should I not post about this topic, is one, I would search the topic first on Pinterest and see where it goes. Does it go to a resource page? If it does, don't go after that topic because no one's going to see it on Pinterest. And then also consider really, really carefully what you're sharing, whether it's your content or somebody else's. Even if it's legit information, I would be concerned that people are going to see it and report it as spam. So if I'm going to save anything that has to do specifically with the health situation now, which is not really what I want to be saving right now, I'm going to save it to a secret board because I do not want to take the chance that someone's going to see it and report me as a spammer. Like, what's your take on that, Jeff?
Yeah, so I think it's smart of Pinterest. I know people are wanting. I'm assuming the best about people is they do want to help, and so they want to have some content that they want to push out there. But I also think it's smart for Pinterest to do this and limit like these articles and stuff because people could become opportunistic, like you had mentioned at the very beginning, and they're kind of just like shutting it off. So you want to still be providing great content, but I would not, like you said, say, here's the best way to, boost your immune system during the quarantine. You know what I mean? I mean, that's
quarantine is that's like a trigger word.
Yeah, so you want to be careful of that. I mean, I know a lot of people are writing that because they want to be helpful and they want to, share stuff that they've written or a blog post or whatever. But just be very careful because you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit on those kind of if you're using like quarantine and some of those other keywords that Pinterest is looking for because they want to make sure that they're not doing misinformation. I mean, Facebook got in a lot of trouble with that. There's that they still have that stigma attached to them, and Pinterest doesn't. They're one of the only places where people go to, really, relax and not see fake news, not do stuff. And I think a lot of the reason why they've seen this huge uptick is because of that. It's a safe place to go, and people. This is a great time. They have more time on their hands. They want to go to something that's comforting and familiar. And so I think that's why they're going there as well. So that's my take.
I completely agree. Yeah. So if you go to your Today tab, you're going to see a heading that's like, stay safe, stay inspired. And Pinterest is suggesting things for you like comforting words. I mean, the first thing is the World Health Organization board, which is great. But then we have ideas like comforting words, great recipes, simple recipes, workouts to de-stress, your home organization, work from home, keeping kids busy, activities for toddlers, goes on. And I'm not sure if it's the same for everybody or not. I imagine it probably is because I don't like toddlers wouldn't probably come up in my feed personally. But get ideas for, okay, if I can't or I choose not to directly address the health situation right now, what else can I do? Like, how else can I serve people? Can I talk to them about home organization or keeping their kids busy or easy recipes? Like, where can my information fit in here? So with that, I think it might be helpful to talk about some of the specific trends that Pinterest has shared with us because they are.
Questions? We're getting. We got.
Let's take some questions, and then we'll get into some numbers.
First of all, I wanted to share this because.
Okay.
Oh man. Okay. So many questions are going by so fast. This is from Mama Joe over on YouTube again. She goes, "I wouldn't miss you, wonderful people." See, that's what we love to hear, and I wanted to say thank you, Mama Joe, and give you a shout out because. One of the things I'm seeing right now, this is a place to connect. So we're really trying. We want to connect with all you guys. And Laura, another friend of the show, says, I think they're really trying to act responsible and quell fake news. There's some really dangerous posts out there that are on social right now, which are very misleading. So, yes, we've got some of that. So,
absolutely.
Here's a great question from Jen Vasquez. She says this. She goes, what about if I wrote a blog on the virus and your wedding for what that bride should think about, and there's another question like, should I delete those pins that I made?
Okay. I mean, I don't think that they're going to, maybe. So let's address the first part of that question. I had Corona post before they said anything. You might, I mean, we hate to say delete, but I personally would be afraid that I would get in trouble for that.
Yeah. They're
I would take it off.
and this is for all networks too. So you got to remember they have people out of their offices too, and a lot of stuff is running on AI. So
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing a lot of stuff like on Facebook and other places get hit really hard because, and then there's no way to appeal right now because most of the live people are at home. So I would err
Yeah.
on the side of caution. I would delete those as soon as I could. Not
Yeah.
stress about it too much, but I would probably delete those. And we never say that. We never
I
do. But
know we never
this
do, but
time we do. Yeah.
these are not normal times.
Right.
So like Jeff said, it's so great to see people come back and people that we know and love to see you here. It makes us feel great. And I hope that this is helpful for you to have a little bit of connection with people that you know. So kind of with that in mind, we have something going on at 5 Eastern, and it is Pinterest Get Together at Tailwind. So what we're doing is twice a week we're going to get together and have kind of a party atmosphere, and on Thursdays we're going to do half and half. So we're going to do a little bit of like a Pinterest intro, a Tailwind intro, and then 30 minutes of pinning together, creating images, working on our Pinterest together, and then like getting live feedback from each other in real time. Like you can come on camera, you can show your work. If you want to just chat, you can do that. There's a pop-up Facebook group with it because we feel like we just need a little fun. And since Pinterest is our happy place anyway, let's do it together and make it a good time. And then on Tuesdays at, I think it's 1 Eastern, we're going to do just an hour of pinning together. We can talk about anything. We can share our work. We can give feedback. We can get feedback. And it's going to be a really fun time. So if you register there at that address, which is bigmarker.com/series/grade Pinterest get together, there's a bit.ly link somewhere. I'll find it. You are registered for all of them. You'll get reminders, and just come whenever you can. If you can, we would really love to see you there, and hopefully we'll all learn something and have a good time. There will be balloons and party favors as well. Yay, Tess, I hope you can come. Pinterest get together. And of course, it's all online, so there's no need for any personal protective equipment. Jeff, I hope you can come too. I know Jeff is doing, we're not going to record it because it's really all about the party, right? It's about the fun times together. So we're going to repeat it as often as we need to, as often as people want to come and as often as they're having a good time with it. So if you can't make it this week, come next week. We'll be here. We'll be here for you as long as we need it, which hopefully won't be too long.
You don't want to be the person like at a party carrying around the camcorder. That's why we're not recording it. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that guy.
I know. It's like we're just friends. So
Right.
come on over if you can. Drop by for a few minutes if you have time. But yeah, we're trying to bring a little fun and some balloons. Yeah. There'll probably be a cat or two. I know Jeff is doing carving parties every night where he has on some funky music. He's carving. He's talking to the camera.
It's bluegrass. It's not funky. Come on.
There's a little funk to the bluegrass.
Okay,
but yeah, people are looking for a way to connect. So if you want to do that, come over and join us. Maybe Jeff will be there. We'll see.
So can we go? There's some great questions. We're getting a lot of questions about this, and so I want to do this. Are there certain keywords that we should avoid during this? Do we have a list anywhere? I mean, what should we do about this?
Again, if you have any questions, I would first of all search a Pinterest, right? So put that search term into a query in Pinterest and see, is it being redirected to one of their resource pages? If it is, avoid it, mostly because you won't get any distribution. But you also want to just avoid anything that's alarmist. And I think that is something that is always true on Pinterest, right? We always want to stay positive. We want to avoid using fear as a mechanism for spreading concern, which that's Facebook world. And it's not the good part of Facebook, right? So
stay on it if you're watching this live. Don't leave.
I know. We're very positive here, but there is an element of that over there that we really, really want to keep off of Pinterest. So if it feels scary to you, don't share it. Don't create it. Don't make a pin for it. Turn it into something positive. So use it to fuel people's imagination, right? So right now, I think we're all feeling, maybe I'm speaking for myself. You guys tell me how you're feeling. I'm feeling a little listless, a little bit like out of my element and just not really sure what to do with myself.
It's hard to focus right now. That's the thing. It's hard to focus. That's what's really I've noticed a lot. So I want to bring up a question
Yes.
from Sarah
Okay.
over on YouTube. She goes, "Hi there.
Yeah.
Do we know if having those keywords like COVID-19 and coronavirus in the URL of the linked blog post is also flagged by Pinterest?" I don't know that
Uh,
answer, but I would not do it either. I just think
no,
that's
I
something they can
wouldn't either.
check easily, and I
Ooh,
would not do it as well. And
gaslighting.
here's just another thing that I'm saying here. So, um, even on our going live today, we had an issue. I mean, we usually get around 250, 300 people watching live. We're only got like 160 today, and I have a feeling it's because
Mm,
of the title that we used.
hmm.
So
Okay.
every network is really hammering this kind of thing. So be super careful, because just like what we talked about before,
Yeah.
you're dealing with AI now. You're not dealing with normal people, and that's going to be that way for a while. So
It's
err
true.
on the side of caution. Take those keywords. Anything that you think may, I would not do. That's just
Yeah, and I
fine.
think we could be getting to a point where people are like, I don't want to hear about negative.
Right.
I just want the good stuff. So, like, let us know. Is this kind of information helpful to you? And if so, like in detail, what do you need help with right now?
This is my
Let
friend
us know what
Scott
we can
Ayers. He
provide.
goes, if you have to ask you, should I post this? You probably shouldn't, and already answered your own question. So thanks, Scott.
So true. You know what? I'm going to coin this phrase because I kind of already did, but this trust your instincts. So if your
Oh,
instinct
very
tells
clever.
you this does not belong on Pinterest, just don't do it. Now my delivery could have been a lot better, but anyway.
Yeah, it could have.
Um,
No,
so
you
yeah,
should go trademark that. I don't know if you could though,
I
but
totally should.
you
No, they
should.
probably wouldn't let me, but anyway. So some things that have come out from Pinterest, they have been incredibly responsive to the situation and what people are looking for to try to give creators some guidelines, some help. So they're seeing a huge impact. Obviously, we already talked about how they've had their most active weekend ever last weekend. And what they're seeing is people coming for inspiration. So the shifting habits are really showing up in their searches. But what hasn't changed is that it's a place for ideas. So one thing to keep in mind is that, yeah, there's a ton of work from home content out there, which is great, but not everybody is in that situation. So consider different situations where you could help people out, things that aren't so obvious. So maybe people are in a small apartment, or they maybe they lost their service job. Like, how can you help those people?
Mm.
Being compassionate and avoiding sarcasm, avoiding fear tactics like we talked about. And again, like, don't ask people to be positive all the time.
Right.
Encourage and empathize, but don't ask for something that's just kind of impossible all the time right now.
Mm. That's a great point.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the specific things, unless you have any
Oh,
urgent
we've got
questions there.
questions coming out everywhere. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so we've got a bunch of them. So,
Okay.
let me go to some that I'm pulling up here. So, and I don't know about this. Social distancing is a key phrase that's been working well. I don't know how long
Is
that will
that?
be working well.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that to me is on a borderline one that I would be nervous about. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Elisa?
I I think that's okay because I think people are looking for ideas for making that. I mean, it is a new reality and a new part of our lives. So, looking for inspiration to make that work. So, how can you still connect with friends when with social distancing? I
Mm,
mean, I feel like that could
that would
work.
work.
I don't think I don't think that that's going to be a long-term success though, because I feel like if this goes on 8, 12, 18 months, please no. But if it did, we're not going to call it that anymore. That's just going to be life,
Right.
right? So we
Right.
may have to adjust, but you can do that later. Like if that's what you find and it starts to really trend downward, you can
Hmm.
adjust that content and create new pins that will really be relevant to the time. So that I think is a really important point is consider what is relevant now. So even what's working today might not work in 2 weeks. We just have to be
Right.
really conscious of what real people need in the moment. Um, yeah.
Yeah. So Tara has a great point right here. I'm going to pull this up. She goes. Oh, there it is. maybe and focus on X, on budget versus crisis, virus, quarantine, etc.
Hmm.
X could easily be beauty, cooking,
Yes.
fitness, etc. I think that's a
Yes.
great idea, Tara. Thank you for sharing that. I think
That's
that you're spot on.
exactly right. Exactly right. So, if we're in lockdown or quarantine, what are our actual problems? Is not the quarantine
Hmm.
itself. It's the boredom, it's the loneliness, it's the anxiety, right? So Pinterest is sharing some of the things that are going on. Like, in the U.S. right now, searches for freezer meals are up 155% in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
working from home up
How to cook.
170%. I know, right?
Right.
How do I do that? Or how do I order from Postmates? Those sales have been going up like crazy. Indoor activities with kids up. You want to guess how much?
What? 200%.
1,300% increase in
See,
searches for indoor activities with
that's the most
kids.
thing. It's not, I'm telling you, people are saying it's not toilet paper. It's like, I don't know, my kids are
It's
driving me
like,
crazy. And I bet
I
that duct tape is going to be selling out fast because you could just
know.
put
You
it right on there.
cannot duct tape your kids,
You know,
Jeff.
well, mine are older.
Jeff,
I can. If you don't
that's
get caught,
true.
it's fine. No, that's horrible. Don't listen to that.
No, no, no,
Uh,
don't listen to that.
so,
We can't edit this out.
yeah. So, but yeah, so we've got a bunch of questions. Julie, if we want
Okay.
to bring you on here in a little bit for some design segment.
Yeah.
I don't see you on camera, so you may want to try to log back on from that. Oh, there she is. So
Okay.
she
Cool.
is there, by the way, so we can go to her
Okay.
whenever you need to. So I was just making
Okay.
sure.
So I just want to share a few more things that we see as far as numbers
Sure.
go, because I think it might help kind of spark some ideas on how we can put a new spin on our content. And when I say spin, I don't mean that in a sleazy way. I mean just reframing our content so that it's helpful and relevant today. So, um, over the past 2 weeks, searches for home organization have gone up 43%.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are looking around and realizing that their house is a mess. Not that I would do that. Spa day at home, 19%. Makeup tutorial for beginners, 180%.
Wow.
Kid-friendly recipes, 64%. Now, it hasn't been that long, but I am guessing that at-home hair color and hair removal is probably going to be huge.
At home stuff is going to be huge. Period. You know.
Yes.
So.
Yes, DIY is going to be massive. Searches for things like calming quotes and stress relief, yeah, have doubled. Well, no, calming quotes has doubled. Stress relief and stress quotes, the searches for those have tripled in 2 weeks.
Mm,
Whew, so
that's a lot
how
of
can
stuff.
you
Yeah.
serve that? Yeah, it's a lot. So thinking about like what will be trending, like we have this initial shock. So we're seeing huge increases in sales for things like electronics, and home office furniture as people are setting up at home. But that kind of stuff is going to fade. So what are some of the possible ongoing trends that we can take advantage of? And I've got some here, and you can tell me what you think too. I think budgeting is going to be an ongoing concern. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
starting now, but I think it will keep going. Cutting costs, taxes, because the filing deadline is extended, so your window for tax information is now much bigger.
Right.
Affordable anything, DIY, and I think recipes are going to continue. Like pantry recipes, easy recipes, freezer recipes will continue to trend. Are there any others that you feel like are kind of going to be like up for the long term? Or anybody else? What
Yeah,
ideas do
yeah.
you
So
have?
I want to bring up this one from Jen. She goes virtual meeting and crucial coffee dates. So I think virtual is going to be one
Yeah.
that's going to trend really quickly because people are going to like how to use Zoom. I mean, I've been tech support for my wife's a teacher and she's having to do all this stuff at home, and so some people have never used this before. How to how to manage a classroom virtually for all the teacher pay teachers people. I mean, all that stuff. If you can pivot and start talking about how to manage a classroom with, because I saw her try to manage 13 14 kids on Zoom, unmuting, muting, trying to raise their hand, all that stuff.
How'd that
That's
go?
I think that's going to be really important. People are really going to start searching for that. So think of problems that people are having right now and how you can do a positive spin on it and make it something that you can create content for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, it's simply
Yeah,
cooking with
and
Jackie says this. She goes Zoom backgrounds. That's a great
Ooh,
idea. That's a great idea. Good job, Jackie. That's really good.
yeah.
So, and some other ones people are dropping in is Jen says advice on earning a new job or entering a new job, or how
Mm,
to look for a new
yep.
virtual job. I mean, I think those are all
How to
some
become
great ones
a
too.
VA. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So
So
speaking of
some of
positive, we're at
the
the halfway mark. So I
yeah.
think we need
Okay,
to.
let's do it. Yeah,
I
we
know.
got
I'm
more to
gonna. You
say.
told me to
Let's
manage
take a
this because
design break. I
we
know.
can go
Please
long
do. We'll
afterwards if you don't have anything else to do. So here we go. I'm gonna bring in Julie, who is one of our awesome designers here. So let me get
yeah.
that. There we go. Hey, Julie. Let me turn on your audio. There you go. Hey, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
So you want to
Yeah, so
introduce Julie?
Julie,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to introduce Julie. Julie Hazen is an associate product designer at Tailwind, and we know you guys love these pin design segments. So I said, "Hey, Julie, how about I give you some pins?" So I know we have about 500 people who send in pins for redesign and tips. So Julie's gonna show us how she remade some pins. They're really cool. Okay,
Yeah.
go for
Ready?
it, Julie.
Okay. Here we go.
Awesome. All
So
right.
what did you do here? So, look how many. I had to make it smaller, but we'll zoom in here. Let me zoom in
All
here
right.
so you can tell us
All
what's
right.
going on. So,
Sweet.
You know
what's
it's
going on
the
here?
original, right?
Yeah, so we have the original there on the far left, and we have this pin here. There's a fox, and the title says, Shyness Hides Your Presence. And so this was a pin that was submitted to us. And first of all, I kind of started out just asking myself some questions about the pin, which is really like, where is my eye drawn first? What's standing out? And where do I expect to go when I click on this pin? So for me, that was kind of, I was really drawn to that fox at first. And then reading the title, I wasn't 100% sure what I would find when I clicked on this pin. Um, I figured it could potentially be like a quote that I might save, maybe it links to a blog post, something else. So that was one of the first things that I wanted to find out. And it turns out it links to a blog post that's all about shyness. And one of the really cool things was that it actually shared 4 quick tips on how to overcome shyness. And to me, that was something that really stood out as a big value add that might make
Mm,
people want to click on a pin. So that was kind of where I started from. And that gave me kind of the inspiration for a title for this pin, which is 4 Tips to Conquer Shyness. And that would immediately kind of indicate to me what I could expect to find, and that it would be a quick read where I'd leave with 4 actionable takeaways. The next thing I kind of thought about was who exactly would this benefit? Who would really enjoy reading this blog post? And so I really wanted to focus on kind of that positive spin that
mm-hmm.
you were talking about earlier, how people come to Pinterest to kind of have their safe, happy place. And so I chose a stock image that kind of focuses in on that, where if you're struggling with shyness, once you read this blog post, this might be what you're hoping to achieve. Maybe it's going and doing activities with friends, and here it's an image that might be more summer related. So as we're kind of progressing in the year, this might resonate with people going into
Very cool.
summer.
So here's some other ones. I mean, you went kind of crazy. So
I had a fun time with
what?
this.
So tell us the difference between, like, especially those last two. What made you change? I mean, because you have a call to action for one that says learn how, and the other one says conquer shyness how. So what are your thought process behind that?
Great question. So I started with the one on the right where I was really taking cues heavily from the original pin about letting your presence shine and then kind of including that CTA that's focusing in on really what they would learn, which is about conquering shyness. So that was kind of where I started. I really appreciated kind of the balance of the image
Right.
there and wanted to create a different version that really focused in on those 4 quick tips. One of the drawbacks I thought of the one on the right is that if I'm looking at this, I'm not 100% what I'm going to find when I go there. It might actually be a course, or I
Mm,
might be expecting to find a course. Whereas the one on the left, I feel like is a little bit more clear what I'll be finding.
gotcha. Gotcha. Very, very cool. And so, I mean, you created. Look at all those, man. So, how long did it take you to do this?
You know, it really didn't take that long because if you look between each pin, a lot of the text is actually the same. It's about,
Mm-hmm.
you have that conquer shyness, 4 tips, with just some subtle changes there. So really it was just about changing the fonts and changing out the stock image for each. So each one you can kind of see is focused on maybe a different group of people that would enjoy this article. And that was kind of what I used to determine which stock image and fonts I used.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So if
there are
you
two things I wanna bring out that are really awesome here. So the fox one is kind of the fox is adorable. Who doesn't like cute foxes? But it's a little bit
chickens
like
don't like foxes.
you're
Just
right.
saying
You
that.
have an answer for everything. So conquer shyness hides your presence. It's a little bit like you feel like you're shrinking in, and with a little fox, you're like in on yourself. But the others are more like, I can do this, really positive and inspiring. And another thing that you did was really embody this idea of relevance. So if you are a young woman who enjoys the beach, there's one for you. If you're more like thinking businessy, there's one for you. If
Right.
you're a guy, if you have or if you were a kid, I mean, the one with the kids there, that font even is it's very rounded, it looks kind of childlike. But it really, like, if I'm a parent and I see that and my kid is shy, that is going to
Right.
speak to me and very specifically, which is, I think, a great illustration of how you can take one piece of content and make it relevant to many different types of people. Really great job.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this whole thing for, if you just joined us for the first time, we've been talking about this fresh pin strategy, and that's why I wanted to ask how long it took you. It really didn't take a lot of time, but look how many different audiences that you could fit into that Elisa was pointing out. Even the teacherish kind of look with the kid photo. I mean, so just with that, you have all these different audiences, and one of these pins could take off, and you see a lot of traffic from it. So that's really awesome. Great. Oh, and I wanted to pull up a comment because Danny goes, great work, much improved. So thanks, Danny, for that.
Thanks.
Why didn't I mean, Julie did it all. I just took the credit. So let's go to the next example here. So let me zoom in on this one. So tell us a little bit about these.
So the original pin image is there on the left, and you can see there's the bucket of chalk paint at the top, and there's table and chairs at the bottom, and then you have your title, which says Dreamy Chalk Painted Farmhouse Table. So in looking at this one, my eye was definitely drawn to chalk painted. It's that bright red, kind of a fun font, and my assumption at looking at this pin was that it was about how to chalk paint a table to get that result that you see at the bottom. So when I clicked into the blog post, it turned out it's actually an entire tutorial on how to build the table, which I thought was really cool. So that was an element that I wanted to kind of pull out a bit further into the remade pin images to highlight that this is about building a table and also chalk painting it, and really considering how we might be able to show that to pinners in the image. So I'll just kind of start with that one there in the middle. For the actual fonts, I decided to go with serif fonts for the dining table, or whatever words I was using to identify that, because that kind of usually stands for like something that's more strong or traditional and would kind of be associated with that. And then for accent colors, I pulled it from the tulips there on the table, and that way you're kind of pulling everything together in a cohesive way, even though these pins are still really light and bright.
Yeah, I think that's great.
So,
I love the call out in the middle of with the, it says chalk paint, and you have that little call out with it, and you did the same thing, but as a different variation on the other one that's on the far right. So it looks really great.
Yeah, and the
thanks.
guy in the upper left is like showing building the table, which is really
Right.
cool.
Yeah. So here's
Right.
some
I
of the
thought
other
that
ones too.
those images were really helpful to kind of pull in to show people the process there right from the beginning, what they can expect to see. I also pulled in a bit of branding. The chicken comes from their website. It was an icon that I thought was really helpful to just kind of give it a little bit more representation of what the brand is. And on the one on the left, I also wanted to pull in some keywords that might stand out to different pinners of what they might be looking for. So here we have DIY, affordable, easy, on that pin on the right, using easy DIY again, just to kind of help pull in some of those things that might appeal to different people.
And I think that's genius too, because as we have talked about before, Pinterest can read your text on your pins, and that you did it.
Right.
And both Elisa and I are, so, we have a little trouble with the scripty fonts, mainly because the machine learning can't read it. And these are clear enough, and you're using, a font that really will be easy for the algorithm to read. So I think that is really, really
Yeah. And humans can read it too.
cool. Right.
Bonus.
Which is even better. Yeah. So, this is great,
They're
great
beautiful.
stuff here. Yeah. So awesome
really
work
well
as
done.
always. So, Jennifer goes, she loves the inset photos. And this is a great question. I want to pull this up really quick. Are these all considered fresh pins to Pinterest, even though they're using the same main image? It's a great question.
Jeff, what's a fresh pin on Pinterest?
It's got a new image. It's a new image. That's all it is.
It's a new image. What is an image on Pinterest?
Everything in the pin.
Yeah. Everything in the pin.
Did I pass?
You get
There
a
we go.
gold star. You get
There
a
we go.
gold star today.
Good.
Yeah. So, right. So if I'm seeing each of these images, like let's say it shows up in my feed like one a week, am I going to be like, oh, the same thing again? Probably not, because they look quite different from each other. And that's the point of it too. Like, are they going to look different if somebody sees more than one of them? Yeah, they do. You can, like, one of them is zoomed in a little bit, focusing on a different area, bringing in different elements, absolutely makes a fresh pin. So you do want to make significant changes, but this counts. Good job, Julie.
And Danny says, bonus, dining table and farmhouse table also open up different SEO terms to target in pin descriptions. Great point. Power tip there.
Yes, easy
Danny
and
wins this
DIY. Yep. Yes, that's right.
So, yeah, awesome.
Danny's
awesome
our
job,
co-founder
Julie.
and
Thank
CEO,
you so much.
if you don't know him.
Yeah, he is the CEO.
Yeah.
So he'll get a t-shirt as well. So Julie, thank you so much. What are some tips for some people who, when they're, I thought one that I hope we didn't gloss over too much is that you pulled color from that flower on the farmhouse table by using probably an eyedropper tool. And I think that's something a lot of people may not think about. But do you have any other like power tips for people who are really starting, who need to create like multiple pins like you just did?
Yeah, I think something that is really helpful is to think about who you're wanting to see these pins and use that to kind of inspire the direction you're going to take. So with each of those, it could either be with your keywords or maybe the images themselves. I know that on some of the pins, I was really thinking about focusing on people who are really handy and might really resonate with the picture of the guy who is in the garage actually building the table. And other people may be more interested in kind of the chalk painting element. So I think focusing in on what people may enjoy or resonate with the most is really a helpful starting point.
And I think when you did put that inset picture of the man working on the table, you can, because we always have the debate, man stuff on Pinterest and women's stuff on Pinterest, and that crossed both of them. It would be a pin that I would pin, and also somebody else would pin, so I think that's a great way, just like Danny was saying with the SEO stuff, hitting those two different audiences. So Julie, awesome as always. Thank you so much for doing this. We want to have you back for sure.
Thank you,
Julie.
See you later.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
So Jeff,
that's one of my favorite things to do. I love doing those.
I know.
Those things.
So
I hope
good.
you guys enjoy them. Yeah.
Yeah, it really helps illustrate all of the points of the stuff we keep saying, but boy, it makes a lot more sense when you see it. So if you wish you could make pins that were as beautiful as Julie's or the ones that Justine makes, but you feel like you can't, well, guess what? Jeff's ahead of me here. We have the bit.ly link for the Pinterest Toolkit. So we have new images for March. Justine looked at them and she said these are the best yet. And I got to tell you, I am living off that compliment still. So it's a TW Pinterest Toolkit, all one word, all lowercase, bit.ly link. Please go get them. There's something special this month. One is that they pull in some guidelines from a not yet published guide from Pinterest, and you'll see all those in your little tips on the images. The other thing is that there are Photoshop versions available of these. They're from Dustin, our friend over at sovisual.co. So when you can download a Photoshop if you prefer those. And I'm going to share in the comments a link to one that our friend Bobette Kyle made.
Oh, cool.
With one of the templates, and if you want to go check that out, it's really cool. And the thing about it that really got my attention is the topic. So she her site is myonlineweddinghelp.com. And the topic of her blog post for this is how to pull off an online wedding from your living room.
See, that's genius right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So that there was, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but we had someone watching earlier who was asking about weddings.
We'll
Like,
bring that up.
if your wedding is postponed, what can I do? Should I write about that? Well, here's an angle. Like, there are a lot of people in that situation. How can you help them? Like, what are the solutions that they're looking for, that they're resorting to, that you can help make better, even though it's not exactly
Right.
ideal.
Right. So let's start answering some questions, because we got a bunch of them. And so I want to bring these up because this is a great one. And Emma's been very patient trying to get, she goes, hello, I know this is not related to the topic right now, but I want to make sure my question doesn't get missed. How much of my efforts should be focused on Pinterest video, given that it's fairly new to the platform? How do you think it will impact engagement and conversions?
Okay, so video is something that Pinterest is putting front and center. I have noticed, and I know others have as well, when you search for something on Pinterest, that you tend to get videos high up in the search results, even right across the top in a lot of cases. So they want people to find them. The other thing is, when they show up in your feed throughout the feed, there'll be one playing at a time, which really catches your eye and stops the scroll. So I would say if you're comfortable creating video, do it. Jeff, what do you say?
Yeah, if you can do it, and there's some great. We'll see if we can drop some in later. Some easy ways to create pins, like video pins, and we'll try to.
Yeah, what are your favorite resources?
So I love Promo. I like to use them a lot. Okay. Canva has some stuff on there. Easel, you can make animated GIFs with. All of those, you just want to make it move a little bit. You don't have to always think about like an entire. I got to do this documentary and film all that. You can just sometimes move some things that get it moving. Yeah. But if you, and Promo is probably one I like to use, that I've used to get good results on, with some motion and stuff like that, like an actual video, not just like an animated GIF. So
we need one that works well, and what we did with it was teach something in it. So it was like how to create a great pin. We pulled in what are the base elements of a really great pin, and it's like one part this, one part that, and you walk through it, and it's again really playing into what Pinterest does really well, which is to inspire and educate. So people are like, oh, well, I can do that, but then of course they want more information, so they click through to your site. So if you can attempt to teach a little something in your video, that's where I see a lot of potential. And brand awareness too.
Yeah, and I would never take parts of this show and put it up on as a video pin. No. It just doesn't make sense for that kind of stuff. But you also need to think pretty much any Instagram story app that will create those kind of stories, you can use those for Pinterest. A lot of people don't think about that, but a lot of the cool tools, I like to use stuff by Enlight. They have there's Video Leap is one of them. They also have there's one that makes cinemagraphs that's really great to use. And so a lot of those apps that you're using to create Instagram stories with, you can just turn right around and make some really cool animated and video pins for Pinterest, because you want them short anyway. You don't want to have a really super long one. So
very short. We're getting I think 6-second views or something on average. It's very short.
Well, I've had a lot of, when I did that little pop-out video thing, I had a lot of views on that and a lot of click-throughs because it stood out in the feeds. So Katerina says that she uses story templates too, and then resizes them. So very, very cool.
Very good.
So we got a bunch of questions.
You can use Square on Pinterest too for video.
I still would I like the tall. I've done them both, and I still think the tall, good. They do better in the long run. But But if you got them, use them. So
Mm-hmm.
let me grab some questions here for like a
Okay.
speed round. If we have to, are you good if we go longer? Because we got some good questions.
I'm good. Yeah, there was a little something I wanted to talk about
Okay, go for
where
it.
okay. So I think some people are in an industry where things have really fallen. So overall, fashion retail sales are down, which makes sense. We're sitting at home in our
Right,
workout clothes, right? So workout clothes up, business clothes down, travel down, wedding planning, all that stuff is down. So I'm curious, like, if you are in that situation, what is your situation? Have you found a way to pivot, or are you looking for a way to pivot? Because I'm gonna see if Jeff can come up with some ideas for you on the fly.
oh, great. Yeah, but I'm in charge of comments, so I know which ones to pick. So there, ha
That's
ha.
true. No, but
Yeah,
seriously, we want to hear about that, because if we can't come up with something immediately, I really want to think on that, because I think that there are so many opportunities that I feel like if you're in that spot, there's probably a lot, like tons of anxiety that is really probably getting in the
right.
way of your creativity. The rest of us are not there. We can think about it. Our audience can think about it. We can bring it up on our Pinterest get together later. But I feel like
Right.
there are answers,
So,
but maybe
so
you not can't see them right now.
I know that there's a lot of questions
Yeah,
about in the wedding thing, and you gave a great pin to
yeah,
talk about that. But let's make like a little bit more specific. Let's do wedding photographers. So they're
yeah.
any sort of photographer probably is hurting right now because of no one's out, and they're probably not gonna for a long time do studio sessions or something like that. And so let's do wedding
Yeah.
photographers. So what would you say for a wedding photographer? What would be a good one for that?
Oh man.
Okay,
So it's
here's I
yeah,
have one right
you've got
top of
something.
my
Okay, good.
so I wasn't
Okay.
gonna do to you what you were gonna
I
do to
know
me.
Danny's
So
got one too. Okay.
yeah. So one of the things that
Thanks.
I would do is I would think of like, okay, how to do something like how to organize your, your Lightroom settings, how to, use your time to do a certain task that photographers do. I had a guy on one of my shows the other day come up and he says, I'm using all this time to teach how I edit photos. And I thought that's genius. I
Oh,
mean, and he's
yeah.
doing a live show where he's talking to people editing photos. And I thought that's a great way to connect with people and show a skill that you have to do. And he's doing that. So something in that vein would be good.
Hmm.
What are your suggestions?
What if you could provide some kind of coaching for these weddings that are happening in living rooms or on beaches, if they happen to be open, which mine is not? I'm slightly
Hmm.
better. But could you provide consulting service where you communicate with somebody who's at the wedding? Like maybe there are 10 people there, and you communicate with the bride's cousin and say, all right, this is the pose we're going to do for this. Have this person, like, you could just be that voice in the ear that would compose a really great picture that might be hard for someone to do otherwise.
Yeah. So this is a great, if when they start unlocking some of the lockdown stuff, I think this is a great one.
Mhm.
Photographers offer discounted outdoor
Mm.
family shots, like when you can, as this kind of lightens up, hopefully in short amount of time, that you'll be able to do some of that. So I think that's great. Uh,
Yeah. And you could probably even do that in most places now, as long as you as a photographer stay at a reasonable
right,
distance. Like, the
right.
family's going to be together anyway. If you're outside, you're probably good.
And this is great. Jana says, continue to educate and inspire. You'll be on top of mind when people are ready again. So I think that's a great
Mm,
point as well.
that is.
So
And build your email list. Like,
right.
so that when people are ready to buy again, you have that list of people who remember that you helped them get through a really rough time.
So
Cake
here's a good
designer
one.
here.
Yeah.
Oh
So
no.
no events for the next month for a cake designer. So what some
Mhm.
ideas that she could do? So, um, you know, you could just thinking off the top of my head is like so, they're cake designing actually like live video, like there's even places on Twitch
Yes.
and other places where like, and that's a gaming platform where people go and watch people do that. Like they have huge followers of them being watching, and it's very relaxing, and a lot of people
Yeah.
like cupcake designers and they love to watch that. So maybe
Yeah.
thinking about doing some of that, and that's all stuff that you could, if you record it, use later for your business when you're going out. So
True.
you're not wasting time. You're creating content that you could also
Mm.
use later, but also continue to be top of mind, like we talked about before, with some of those people, who are watching this. You could also,
Yeah.
most people want to know how to make. What if you could do something like how to bake a professional cake at home, and you could
Yeah.
sell recipes, or how to take cake photos. I mean, all sorts of things. Okay,
So
go
many
ahead.
ideas.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You got some.
Okay, so every night Jeff is doing this carving party. If you weren't on at the beginning, you probably may not have heard that. So could you do one cake design a day? Like, oh, you're going to end up with a lot of cake. But what if you just took one element, like how to make rosettes? Everyone wants to do that, or how to get your piping just right, and have people tune in every day for that. And then an example, like I just took up acrylic paint pouring a couple months ago, and I have been following this lady on YouTube who she just makes it look so easy. And plus,
Right.
her personality is amazing. So Rinska Dona, she's from Denmark, and I butchered her name. I apologize. But because I've been following and learning from her, and because I connect with her as a human, I reached out to her on Instagram DM, and I'm going to pay her to give me a private lesson on Skype.
That's
And
cool.
I thought, it would be really fun to do a group like that. So with cake design, could you have get a group of people who are like all friends to come together and learn a skill like that online? It would be super fun,
yeah.
and you could keep your money coming in.
Yeah. Sally, from my friend from the UK, she says, I'm not doing any teaching at the moment, but have been working on lots of new jewelry designs, trying to work towards a better end of the year, working on branding and new packaging, behind the scenes effort for a better future, hopefully. That is a great attitude, Sally. I'm sure that you'll do well. And that's, if you can create stuff and then sell it through the mail, that's great.
Yes.
There's some great examples, like maybe teach people how to decorate cakes when we're going back to the decorating stuff. How to bake with your kids is what Carlos Jay Carlos says. Easiest way to teach your kids how to bake: 4 simple steps. Design your favorite superhero cake. Specific.
Yes.
That is really good, Jay Carlos. Awesome examples. We got some great stuff in here. So yeah, there's some great things going on. So we've got more questions. Tons of more questions.
Okay.
Let me pull up some more.
Bring
did
'em.
you
We've
say
got
everything you
4
wanted
minutes.
to say? Okay.
I did. Thank you.
So here's one we need to, I think, address is travel. Travel also has been hit hard, just like weddings. So what are some ideas for that?
Oh, travel. This is one I have been kind of thinking on and struggling with a little bit. So I think people still want to plan for travel. I think it's a ways out. So I don't know. I think building your email list now is a good idea by sharing. I think we're going to all want to be doing some virtual tourism in the near future. So if you can kind of bring us along in an interesting location, and then when travel becomes possible again, start to share ideas on how to actually do these things.
Right.
That doesn't help though with you need to make money now.
Right.
So this one I struggle with a little bit. Jeff, do you have ideas?
It's hard. I think it's going to be really hard to make money from travel. It's going to be hard to pivot with this one right now because, the hotels and everybody in that industry is really struggling at the current time, even airlines. But what you can work on, I think, right now is community. So build community around your brand or your services or whatever. So I don't have the answers, but I do have somebody that you could follow who's incredibly good at this, and he's dealing with the same kind of thing. Lou Mongello, if you don't know who he is, he does the WDW radio, which is Walt Disney World Radio. His whole business is about Walt Disney, which is shut down right now. But his community is so amazing. They're banding together right now. They're talking about, what they miss about Disney. They're doing virtual. They made Disney Rise at home, and they're videoing them and posting them to the group. So he's got his community that he's built throughout the years. And they'll still buy products from him, and they'll still get, when it eventually opens, they will get his guide. They will buy his book on Walt Disney. He's probably not selling a lot of his Walt Disney books right now on how to, do that kind of stuff, but he's got this community that he's activating. So I would go follow him if you're in the travel industry, just to see how he's doing community. He's amazing. He's an old-time podcaster. He's been doing it for years. Awesome guy, but I would check him out for sure. It's Lou Mongello, and that's Walt Walt Disney World Radio. Yeah, so I can't. Don't ever try to
put
spell
a link
on
in for
when you're doing
loumongello.com.
Yeah, loumongello.com. He's great. So I would check him out because he's impacted just like a lot of you are. Where the place that he's sending people or going to is you can't go there. So look at him as for example. He's really good.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, more questions. Sorry, I was preaching there. So
one more.
Here's a really good, a specific question. It's with the new Pinterest guidelines, I find it hard to use the same URL many times when I work with brands. Ooh. They want to use the homepage, but Tailwind notification says it's not a good idea. What should we do? It's not great to use product pages as products change.
Oh, yeah. So, boy, sending people to the homepage is extremely limiting, as I'm sure you've figured out by now. And the homepage changes too, I would imagine.
Right.
So what to do as products change?
It depends on the back end of your system. Like if you got a Shopify account or BigCommerce, you can use is it product pins, price pins? What is it now? What is the official term for it?
Yeah,
product
pins.
Yeah, if you set up your metadata with that, it automatically updates your pin and the pricing and if it's out of stock, all that stuff. But it sounds like you don't have that, or you're using an e-commerce product that's not. I would actually, on this situation, go to the product, even though it would change instead of the homepage. I mean, it's kind of you're trying to figure out the best of a bad situation. I still think going to the homepage every time is worse than going to a product.
It's not good.
What would you say to
especially
that?
If you're, I completely agree. So especially if you're trying to promote a product and you're sending them to the homepage, that is incredibly frustrating to people. Right. So instead, what I would do is, send them right to the product. And then if a product changes or a product goes out of stock, make sure you are redirecting that URL to something similar, so that if they can't get exactly what they want, at least it's something similar. It's not just a homepage. That happens. Another thing you could do, which I don't think is ideal either, but it's an option, is to send them to a category page. So if it's like a certain type of watch or something, you could send them to a category page that would have several watches like that on the page. And then if it changes out, then at least you have something similar. It, like you said, it's not ideal, but definitely, like with the homepage, you are so limited.
So Mojo says they should make some static category pages or something. Yeah, so it's very good.
Agree.
So I think that's a wait. Yeah. So, and this is, Sally said this. It says, people definitely want to travel again in the future, but that's tricky at the moment. Yeah. Community is a great way to ensure people will come back when things improve. And so with that, I know we have a lot of questions. We will try to get to those in the comments, but we are out of time. We're going to be doing a lot more lives. Make sure you go to Elisa's Pinterest party. She's got balloons all over the floor. She said she just hasn't got them all ready yet. So make sure you go to that coming up. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully it'll get a little, joy in your day. Lock the kids in the closet. Have some time for yourself.
No, bring the kids. Bring the pets. Bring kids. A beverage. Yes, bring your crazy hat.
For your kids? You can have a bunch of drunk kids running around.
No, Kool-Aid for the kids.
Okay, gotcha.
But yes, please come. And I know that like the design segment is super fun and people want feedback on specific situations, and we can only do so much here, but that's what this is all about. So this is about getting feedback from each other, and also there's a pop-up Facebook group that goes with it, so we can continue the conversation after and get that feedback and help, not just on your designs or your pinning strategy, but on the tough things that we're talking about right now. Like, how do I pivot? How do I survive this time and situate myself so that when things start to go up again, because they will, this is not going to last forever, right, that you will be ready to jump in there and be stronger than ever. So we want to be there when that happens.
Yep. And with that, that is our show. Thank you guys so much for watching and for your questions in this community. We love this community. We love you. Awesome. Thank you for helping each other out in the comments. I mean, that's how we're going to get through this stuff together. So thank you so much. Be safe, everybody. Wash your hands, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.